Welcome back to the 3ds Max Basic Modeling online course. I'm your instructor, Li Ruijing.
In the last session, we used a spine to outline the shape of the token. However, at this stage, it still exists only as a polygon patch. So, how do we turn it into a three-dimensional model?
In this lesson, I'll show you how to use the Editable poly function to give the token model thickness. Let's get started. Open 3ds Max, and within Editable Poly, switch to vertex mode. Press F to switch to the front view. Use altitude plus X to make the polygon patch transparent. Then, select two corresponding and adjacent vertices on the surface. Press Ctrl plus Shift plus E to connect them into a segment. What we need to do is connect all the vertices on this polygon patch into triangles or quadrilaterals. To add to your selection, use Ctrl. When connecting vertices, use the shortcut Ctrl plus Shift plus E. While connecting, pay attention to maintaining symmetry between the left and right sides. It's also possible to connect one vertex to multiple others, as long as the connections are not excessively skewed, and the resulting geometry looks properly aligned. When outlining the shape and creating these connections, you don't need to follow my exact connections. What matters is understanding my topology rules. Once the connections are complete, go back to the top level. Right-click and select Cut, then cut along the structural lines in the reference image. Try to place each cut precisely on an existing edge. There are two vertices don't align with the reference image. Right-click to cancel the cut, then press W to move and reposition the vertices to match the reference drawing. Then continue using the Cut tool to trace the structural lines. Now, as you can see, after adding the central edge loop, some areas look a bit dense. Generally, the outer curved regions can have more edge segments, while the inner curves can be fewer. For the middle areas, we should also optimize the polygon count. Press 2 to switch to Edge Sub-Object mode. Select the edge, right-click and choose Collapse. In denser regions, we can collapse some edges to simplify the geometry. Then adjust the vertices to make them smoother. If you find some quadrilateral faces stretched after moving, you can connect them diagonally to turn them into triangles. This helps keep the edge flow more even. For these stretched quads, this diagonal connection is a useful approach. After that, adjust the structure of the lines you just created. Once refined, right-click, select Cut again, and continue tracing the structural lines. This may result in several areas with denser line segments. We'll optimize those later. Right-click to cancel the cut, return to vertex mode, and adjust the newly created points. You can also use a marquee selection to collapse multiple overly dense vertices into a single one. Alright, after completing these steps, we continue with the Cut tool. Once the cuts are done, switch back to vertex mode and adjust the overall edge flow. If you come across diamond-shaped quads, you can connect the diagonals to make the geometry look cleaner and more balanced. Next, continue with the cut tool, since this model already has thickness. When cutting, make sure to place the cuts on existing edges whenever possible. Cutting directly across polygons is more prone to errors. For clusters of dense vertices, adjust their positions. After adjusting the positions, connect some distorted quadrilaterals. At this point, we can also use target weld under Edit Vertices to merge some vertices. Here, too many edges are unnecessary. After welding, refine the shape. In the center area, you can also use target weld to merge vertices. As we discussed earlier, under the premise of maintaining the main structure, we should minimize the polygon count. So, some vertices do not have a significant impact on the overall structure. We can simply reduce the number of edges in those areas. Once adjusted, remember that there's still thickness at the top. Use the cut tool again, which will generate additional vertices. Apply target weld to merge them. And then fine-tune their positions to make the edge flow smoother. Zoom out to check the model as a whole. At the base of the token, there's a slight curve. We can add another cut through the center and adjust it to refine the shape. After the adjustment, zoom out again for a full inspection. Finally, press P to switch to perspective view and rotate around the model to review it. Alright, now press 2 to switch to edge sub-object mode. Double-click to select an edge loop along the bottom. If some extra edges are selected, you can use altitude to deselect and control to add to the selection. Now, select all the structural edges we just created with the cut tool. Follow along with me step by step. Once everything is selected, we only need a single operation to form the structure. With all edges selected, move the vertices forward along the y-axis. See, that immediately gives the token its thickness. Next, switch to Polygon sub-object mode. Marquee select all the faces, go to Smoothing Groups, and click Clear Smoothing Groups. Now, observe the model carefully. You'll notice that at the flame pattern tip, one vertex was shifted outward during the thickness operation. The thickness needs to be symmetrical front and back. So, for points at the flame-shaped ends, they should be positioned at y equals 0. Select that vertex and reset its y-axis value to 0. Next, switch to a side view and adjust the flame-like tip. Move the vertices slightly to shape the sharp point of the flame pattern. Alright, with that, 1/4 of the model is complete. Now, we still need to create the central plane with the fire character. Select an edge on the top. Then hold Ctrl and select a corresponding edge on the bottom. In the Edge menu, find Bridge to create a polygon between the two edges. Then, switch to Border sub-object mode, select the open border. And under Edit Borders, click Cap to close it into a flat surface. Now rotate the model to check the thickness of this central plane. It doesn't need to sink in too much, so lift the plane slightly forward along the y-axis. Once the model is complete, let's adjust its axis alignment. Since we only built 1/4, we need to mirror it along both left, right and front, back directions. In the coordinate settings, enable Effect Pivot Only. Then, choose Center to Object. Reset the x-axis to 0. Press T to switch to top view. If the y-axis isn't at 0, the front-back mirror won't align correctly. So, set the y-axis to 0 as well. That's all we need. Then disable Effect Pivot Only. Press P to return to perspective view. In the 6th panel, under Utilities, select Reset X-Form. Click Reset selected. To reset the finished model. Back in the Editable Poly panel, you'll see that an X-Form modifier has been added. This is the modifier created by the reset. Right-click the object and convert it once more to Editable Poly. Now select the model and apply mirror. First, mirror along the x-axis and choose Instance. Then, mirror along the y-axis, also as an instance. This completes the full token. If the thickness still looks too thin, press T for top view. Marquee select all vertices except those along the y-axis centerline. Drag them forward along the y-axis. See, the mirrored instances update automatically. And the whole model becomes thicker. Finally, rotate around the model to confirm whether the result matches what we want. Press M to open the material ball. Marquee select the token model. If the selection also includes background polygons, use altitude to deselect them. Now, assign a gray material to the entire token model, and apply a black wireframe. That's all for today's session. See you in the next class.